Imagine an enemy older than our own history, an enemy who once stood before the Creator, failed a single command, and then swore an oath that would echo until the final hour. He does not sleep. He does not retire. He does not negotiate. He works quietly, planting doubt the way a farmer scatters seeds.
The earlier text.
And he recruits an unseen army to keep those seeds alive in human hearts. 14 centuries ago, in the heat of Arabia, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ disclosed a detail that still makes the skin tighten with unease. Iblis has a throne, and that throne is set upon water. From that watery seat he dispatches his forces, and the ones who succeed most in stirring discord are brought closest to him. The Hadith does not draw a map. It does not give a latitude or a name of an ocean. It simply lifts the curtain. The command center of the ancient enemy is linked to the restless surface of the sea. Sahih Muslim 2813b. In our own age, one oceanic legend refuses to die. Mention it on YouTube Shorts, in a late-night live stream, or in the comment section of a viral mystery facts clip, and people instantly split into camps: true believers, casual thrill seekers, and hard skeptics. The Bermuda Triangle, a loosely defined stretch of the North Atlantic, roughly framed by Florida, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico, often nicknamed the Devil's Triangle. Bermuda Triangle overview.
Keep your hands off
People
my
speak
supplies.
of compasses that go crazy,
We are
radios
brothers
that
on
go
this
quiet,
path.
and ships or planes that vanish into blank
cannot
blue
be
as if
interpreted
erased.
that way.
The story is always
text
told with the
is
same
precise.
flavor.
Wait,
Modern
look,
technology,
he is here. Be still.
humbled by an ancient sea. And then comes the question that spreads fast on social platforms because it is simple, dramatic, and almost cinematic. If Iblis has a throne on the water, could the Devil's Triangle be part of that territory? Is the Bermuda Triangle the throne itself, or a shadow zone around it? To understand why that question hooks so many minds, you have to travel back not to Florida or Puerto Rico, but to the first rebellion. Before human calendars, when the unseen was known only to its maker, Allah created Adam alayhis salam from clay. He honored him with knowledge and breathed into him a spirit by his command. Then came the moment that would define everything. Allah commanded those present to prostrate to Adam. The angels' creations of light obeyed without a flicker of hesitation. Their obedience is their nature. No ego, no rivalry, no pride that demands to be fed. But one figure remained upright. He did not bow. His name was Iblis. He was not an angel by origin. He belonged to the Jinn,
Keep the ledger
created from
balanced,
smokeless,
friend.
scorching
The storms
fire.
approach from the sea.
Yet through
The
worship and
interpretation
devotion, he had
contradicts the
risen high
ancient
enough to be
texts.
among the angelic
But the
company.
signs point
That
towards the
elevation
sea.
hid a danger.
You must observe
When
closely.
someone stands near purity, the ego can become more subtle rather than more absent. The command to prostrate did not ask him to worship Adam. It asked him to submit to Allah's wisdom. But jealousy ignited what he had kept buried: arrogance, the impatience of fire. When questioned, he answered with the first proud argument in the universe: I am better than him. You made me from fire and you made him from clay. It was not the sentence alone that damned him. It was the disease behind the sentence: self-admiration, standing in the doorway of obedience. He was cast out, cursed until the day of judgment. Yet he did not ask for pardon. Instead, he asked for time. He asked for a delay until resurrection, and Allah granted it. Then Iblis declared war. He vowed to lie in wait on the straight path, to attack from every direction, to surround human beings with distractions and doubts, and to prove that most would fail gratitude. From then on, he became the leader of darkness and deception, the enemy the Quran names as an open foe. His mission is not only to make individuals slip, it is to bend generations, to turn thankfulness into complaint, and to make people forget the one who gave them breath. This is why the unseen
Elder
matters.
Scrolls mention no such
The world
thing.
is not only what
Recent
eyes
findings
capture.
contradict your
Allah
translation,
created realms
brother.
beyond
must seek
ordinary
the truth in the
senses.
symbols.
In those hidden layers
This
exist
interpretation
angels and
contradicts
jinn,
the
both
earlier
invisible to
scrolls.
us in their normal state,
We must
both
consider
capable
the
of movement
context
and
of the
influence
desert
beyond
winds.
human limits. But their essence differs. Angels are made of light. Jinn are made of fire. That difference is not just poetic imagery. It explains temperament. Fire is restless. It rises. It burns. It slips through cracks. It can sit under ash and still be alive. Light, by contrast, illuminates, guides, and spreads without demanding attention for itself. Angels obey. They do not rebel. Jinn, like humans, have choice. They can submit or refuse, believe or deny. The same freedom that allows devotion also allows conspiracy. The Prophet ﷺ described the closeness of this threat with language that is not meant as a fairy tale. Satan can move through the children of Adam as blood moves in veins. He sees us from where we cannot see him. The Quran states that he and his tribe observe humans from a place humans cannot observe them from. Whether a person treats that as literal unseen movement or as a vivid picture of whispering influence, the warning is clear. You can be surrounded without knowing it, and the battle can feel like your own thoughts. That is why spiritual etiquette exists in Islam. Saying the name of Allah before entering a private place, before eating, before intimacy, before closing a door. These are not empty rituals. They are boundary markers. They are reminders that the human heart is not a neutral field. It is contested ground. Now return to that hadith again. Iblis places his throne upon water, then sends detachments. And the closest to him are those most skilled at creating dissension. Consider the symbolism.
Why serve when you
The sea
can
is
rule?
vast,
Look not to
unpredictable,
the dust,
and
but to
hard
the
to control.
stars.
Waves
path
rise
is
and
clear.
collapse. Currents move quietly beneath a calm surface. Storms can form quickly and swallow plans. A throne on water suggests a kingdom fed by instability, an empire whose strength is confusion rather than structure. In the modern age, when people hear about aircraft and ships
We
lost in the
cannot
Bermuda
afford this.
Triangle,
The harvest was
they often
poor.
speak in the
Do not
language
blame
of
me for the
signals
drought.
and navigation.
I need supplies.
Radio silence, compass variation, bad weather, the Gulf Stream, storms, human error. Official investigations and many researchers have concluded there is no evidence of anything uniquely paranormal about that region. It is heavily traveled and
seals the
subject to
door.
storms and hazards
Does
that
this
can
mean the
produce
journey is
tragedies.
postponed?
And yet,
No, it
the
means we
legend
must study the
survives.
signs more
Why?
closely.
Because the
See how
internet
the
is a
ink
perfect
holds the
greenhouse for
truth.
mystery. A single dramatic
Every
disappearance
word
becomes
is
a
a step
10-part
out of
thread.
the darkness.
A grainy map becomes a proof. A clip with suspense music turns unknown into supernatural in 15 seconds. One creator posts a story of a compass spinning. Another stitches it and adds a verse. Someone else adds a reaction face and writes, "This can't be normal." In comment sections, people ask, "What if it's a portal?" Others reply, "It's aliens." Others say,
And
"It's
this
the
one
government."
we shall call
And
river.
then,
It brings
inevitably,
the water.
someone says,
This
"It's
is
the
mountain,
devil's throne."
strong
That
against
last
the
line
sky.
spreads fast because it stitches together two powerful ideas: an old religious warning and a modern pop culture myth. It feels like a lock clicking into place, but a believer who cares about truth must be careful. Scripture tells us the throne is on water. It does not tell us it is between Florida and Puerto Rico. No verse in the Quran names Bermuda. No authentic hadith gives that triangle's coordinates. The connection is a speculation, emotionally tempting, but not revealed knowledge. At the same time, it is possible for a lesson to be true even if a specific identification is unproven. The sea can be a place of awe and warning. It can remind the heart of human limits. If a person watches the Bermuda Triangle trend and feels fear, the correct response is not to hunt for hidden coordinates. It is to strengthen the defenses the Prophet Islamic taught, because the hadith that mentions the throne also describes the enemy's strategy. His troops focus on sowing discord, and among the reports brought to him each day, the one that delights him most is not always theft or a single public sin. It is the breaking of bonds, especially the rupture between spouses. In that logic, destroying a family is more valuable than a momentary crime, because family is the seedbed of society. When a home collapses, children grow up without stability, wounds multiply,
This is not enough for all of
bitterness
us.
becomes
He
inheritance.
disrespects us.
You can see this
Be quiet,
tactic
you will
everywhere,
anger the traveler.
even without invoking paranormal stories. Look at how quickly online conflict escalates. A misunderstanding becomes a screenshot. A private argument becomes a public poll. Strangers vote on someone's marriage with emojis. People who have never met you advise you to leave with the confidence of a judge. A couple that could have healed with patience ends up performing their pain in front of an audience. That is not just the internet. It is a machine that rewards outrage and distrust. The enemy does not need to move ships in the Atlantic if he can move hearts in a living room. He does not need to bend compasses if he can bend attention, pulling it away from remembrance into endless scrolling, endless comparison, endless suspicion.
Look to the wave,
In a
it
sense, the
burns.
most dangerous triangle
We
is
must
not in the
secure
sea,
the mast.
but in the mind. Desire, anger, and pride.
They are weak.
When those 3 points connect, they trap a person inside a storm. This is why the prophetic guidance about evenings and nights feels so practical. As day fades, people become tired.
The
Guards
markings
lower.
here are
Children
inconsistent
run
with the Elder
outside.
translations.
Doors stay open.
Quick,
Meals
get
sit
inside.
uncovered.
The storm is worsening.
Conversations become sharp. The Prophet ﷺ taught believers to bring children in at dusk, to close doors while mentioning Allah, to cover food, to remember Allah in ordinary motions, because ordinary moments are precisely where whispers enter. The spiritual picture is stark. Satan sits close to the heart. When Allah is remembered, he retreats. When a person becomes heedless, he presses in. The war is constant because the heart changes quickly. A calm person can become furious over a small trigger.
The
A
storm
loving couple can
approaches
start
swiftly.
suspecting each other without evidence.
Let us seek
A worshiper
shelter.
can lose focus in prayer and forget what they were doing. These shifts feel random, but the tradition tells us they are not always random. Even worship is not immune. The Prophet ﷺ spoke of devils assigned to distraction, and people recognize the pattern today. The moment prayer begins, the mind
text
remembers
clearly
everything it
states the
forgot all
lineage
day.
must be unbroken.
Messages,
But what of the years of
chores,
wandering?
embarrassing
the scrolls are
memories,
incomplete.
This is
stray
the name
desires.
for the man.
This is
Adam.
not proof that you are a hypocrite.
And this,
It
the
is
name
proof
for the
that
woman,
you are valuable enough to
Eve.
be interrupted. So where does that leave the Bermuda Triangle? It leaves it in its proper place. A region with real hazards, real storms, and a real history of stories that grew larger than evidence. Some writers and researchers point to explanations like severe weather, navigational
star charts
challenges,
speak of a new
human
beginning.
error, and the
Yes,
possibility
but
of
the wind
rare
rises,
but powerful
and
road
the messenger
waves.
approaches.
These
We
explanations
must
may
listen.
not cover every rumor, but they show that mystery does not always mean magic. At the same time, the Hadith about Iblis's throne remains true regardless of where people point on a map. The point of the narration is not to give us an address. It is to teach us that the enemy is organized, persistent, and proud of dissension. Whether his throne is in a known sea or a place no satellite has named, the believer's assignment does not change. The assignment is protection. The Prophet ﷺ taught simple actions that build a fortress: morning and evening remembrance, seeking refuge from Satan, reciting the 3 cool chapters, Al-Ikhlas, Al-Falaq, and An-Nas, blowing into the palms and wiping the body, filling the home with Quran, and especially reciting Surah Al-Baqarah, which is described as a barrier that Satan avoids. These practices are not superstition. They are spiritual training. They teach the heart to stay awake. And the most powerful protection is not dramatic. It is steady. When you say Bismillah before opening a door, you are not performing for an audience. When you lower your gaze, hold your tongue, reconcile after anger, or apologize before sleep, you are punching holes in a plan you cannot see. When you refuse to feed a suspicion with more suspicion, you are starving a whisper. When you refuse to make your family a battlefield, you are rejecting the promotion that Iblis loves to give his best worker. This is the hidden meaning behind the phrase, "Surely the plot of Satan is weak." Weak does not mean non-existent. Weak means it collapses when you stop cooperating with it. A whisper cannot move a heart that is anchored. An unseen soldier cannot force open a door that is shut with Allah's name. A storm cannot drown a person who knows where to hold. So let the internet keep telling stories about a triangle in the Atlantic. Let algorithms push suspense music and red arrows on maps. Let people argue whether it is aliens, Atlantis, wormholes, or government experiments. Those debates can be entertaining. And sometimes they can even lead to learning about real oceanography and navigation.
The grain is too expensive.
But do not confuse
Do not
entertainment
wave
with
your hand
guidance.
at me like a servant.
And do not confuse speculation with
Hush,
revelation.
be
The
still.
real arena is closer
Listen
than
to
any
the wind.
ocean. It is your own chest. If you win there, you can travel the world with a calm soul. If you lose there, you can be destroyed while sitting safely at home.
As the
And if the
scrolls
thought still
foretold, the
lingers,
path
but
is
what if
clear.
the Bermuda Triangle really is linked to the throne? Then let it become a reminder rather than an obsession. The sea is deep, the unseen is real, and the enemy is active. Yet the mercy of Allah is greater than every scheme, and the light of remembrance is stronger than any darkness. The story ends the same for every believer who clings to the straight path.
Why spill the blessing
No matter how
upon
long the war
dust?
lasts, dawn
Hold tight.
always
The
arrives.
storm
When
will
people on
pass.
social platforms talk about this, you can almost predict the script. A clip begins with a slow zoom on a map, the triangle outlined in neon lines. A narrator
See,
whispers
this
about
is the name
hundreds of
for the stars.
disappearances,
And
and the
this,
comments
the name
immediately
for the
divide.
deeps.
Some
May the
write
giver of
prayers,
names
some
bless
drop
this
laughing
meal.
emojis, some demand the truth, and others accuse everyone of being gullible. A second clip appears the next day with a different voice, claiming a pilot saw a strange cloud tunnel. A third clip insists satellites have detected an anomaly. None of these creators have access to the Navy archives or insurance data, but the story does not need records to travel. It only needs mood. Fear travels faster than facts, and mystery travels faster than fear. What is rarely mentioned in those viral videos is that the triangle sits in a region shaped by serious natural forces. The Gulf Stream can move fast enough to scatter debris and complicate searches. Tropical storms and hurricanes can form and strengthen quickly in the wider Atlantic. And before the age of modern forecasting, that was a deadly combination for ships. Navigation can be tricky, especially when people rely on limited instruments, misread weather, or make small errors that become huge over distance. Even the compass problem, often shared online, can be exaggerated. Magnetic variation changes by location and time, and if someone expects north to behave like a fixed nail in the sky, the ocean will teach them otherwise. Some modern explanations discussed by scientists and science writers focus on rare but extreme events. One popular example is rogue waves, walls of water that can rise
should
far
not
above
have taken
surrounding
it.
seas, strike
We
suddenly,
agreed.
Do
and
not
break
speak
ships
to
or
me
swamp
this way.
decks before
I
anyone
worry
can
for
send
the
a clear
child.
distress call. Another proposed factor that appears in documentaries and online explainers is the idea of gas releases from the seabed, sometimes described with methane hydrates. The suggestion is that a sudden release could reduce water density and affect buoyancy, though this remains a debated and situational explanation rather than a proven Bermuda mechanism. In other words, nature has enough power to produce chaos without needing portals. Yet the human heart still prefers the supernatural explanation, and social
Hold the
media
line.
strengthens that
Secure the
preference.
ship.
A scientific
The rope
answer
has
is
given
usually
way.
long.
We are
It
adrift.
requires probability, history, and humility. A paranormal answer is short. It offers a villain, a mystery, and a clean conclusion.
Pull
That
it
is why
tighter,
the
the
Devil's
storm is
Triangle
coming.
nickname keeps returning in waves
It
of
is secure.
popularity, and why people keep remixing it into new formats. Podcast monologues, creepypasta threads, animated shorts, top 10 mysteries lists, and reaction videos where the host promises a revelation that never arrives. Here is a more honest way to hold the story in the mind. Treat the Bermuda Triangle as a mirror, not a map. It reflects human weakness, our appetite for fear, our love of drama, our impatience with nuance, and those weaknesses are exactly where whispers thrive. If you can be made to panic at every rumor, you become easy to lead. If you can be made to mock every spiritual warning, you become easy to empty. Either extreme is a victory for the enemy. Blind superstition on one side, arrogant denial on the other. Balance is harder, and that is why it is safer. Balance means you respect revelation without claiming what revelation did not claim. You accept that the unseen exists without turning every unknown event into a supernatural headline. You learn from science without worshiping it as if it can answer every why that matters. You recognize that ocean mysteries can be explained by weather, navigation, and rare events. And you also recognize that the deepest mysteries are moral. Why people betray, why
The
envy
first name
spreads,
means life.
why families
The
collapse,
second means breath.
why truth becomes tiring.
Write this down
And if you
carefully.
listen closely, you can hear the same theme in the
currents
Hadith
shift
about the
quickly
throne
here.
and the daily reports.
This path might lead
The
us
enemy's
astray.
trophy is not the dramatic catastrophe. It is the slow corrosion of relationships. In our era, he does not need to send a storm to a ship if he can send a rumor to a phone. He does not need to erase a plane from radar if he can erase mercy from a marriage. He does not need to silence a distress signal if he can silence Dhikr in a heart. Look at how often conflict begins. A word misread, a tone assumed,
The alignment
A
of these
message left
stars
unseen.
confirms the route.
a clip taken out of
winds are
context.
shifting, brother.
Then comes the
We must
spiral
trust the parchment
screenshots,
and the signs
group
above.
chats, anonymous advice, late-night overthinking. The whisper does not always appear as a monstrous thought. Sometimes it appears as, just ask them a question in a harsh way. Sometimes it appears as, don't forgive this time. Sometimes it appears as, post it. Let everyone judge. And when the damage is done, the same people who cheered the drama move on to the next trend. The couple is left alone with the rubble. This is why remembrance is not only a private ritual, it is a way of living that slows down the spiral. Dhikr puts a pause between trigger and reaction. It makes you ask, is this thought worth
The messenger
obeying?
has arrived
It makes
with
you
the
notice the
words.
difference
But
between
look at this
evidence and
passage,
assumption.
It contradicts the
It
Elder
teaches you
Scrolls.
to
We
return to
must
Allah
verify
before
the
you return
seals.
fire at another human being. It does not remove all tests, but it changes who you become during the test. So if the ocean legend captures your imagination, let it point you back to what you can actually control. You cannot patrol the Atlantic. You cannot verify every viral clip. You cannot force strangers to be rational, but you can guard your tongue, your eyes, your time, your home. You can fill your mornings with protection and your evenings with calm. You can speak Bismillah like a key that locks what should be locked and opens what should be opened. You can refuse to let your house become a stage for whispers. You can make your family a place where mercy is practiced, not merely discussed. In the end, the most hair-raising mystery is not whether a triangle in the sea hides a secret. The most hair-raising mystery is how quickly a heart can flip, how a grateful person can become bitter, how a gentle person can become cruel, how a believer can become forgetful.
cheated me on the
That
price of the
mystery is
saffron.
not
I
solved
swear by
by
the
satellites
stars,
or
the ledger
sonar.
is accurate.
It is answered by returning, again and again, to the one who created hearts in the first place. And that is the final twist
We must
that
verify
social
the seals
media
before the
rarely
Sabbath.
gives you.
Indeed.
The story
But this
is not meant
passage
to end with terror. It is meant to end with hope. The enemy's oath is real, but it is not equal to Allah's promise. The whispers are constant, but they are not sovereign. The sea is deep, but mercy is deeper. The darkness is loud, but light does not need volume to win. A single sincere moment of remembrance can collapse an entire chain of temptation, just as a small spark can start a fire. A small astaghfirullah can put it out.